That's probably what stung the most, because when you see leaders elsewhere putting everything on the line, literally risking their lives for democracy, you realize what a missed moment a memoir like this is. I asked why. When we seek change, must it either be by breaking down doors or crawling on bended knee? I wanted a seat at the table. I wanted to make change from inside the system. Today, I'm no longer sure about that, because the system is failing us at every level: executive, judicial, legislative, corporate, institutional, media. Every single guardrail that is supposed to protect our democracy is buckling. I thought those guardrails would be stronger. I was wrong. Hello and welcome to or back to the channel. I'm Jay, for those of you who are new here. When I first finished 107 Days, I wrote a review that I intended to share on this channel, and then I let it sit for about 2 weeks. Not because I didn't have thoughts, I did, as you can maybe tell from how much I tabbed this book, but because it felt so flat and uninspiring that I could not bring myself to film it. Honestly, I almost scrapped it altogether. And then this morning, I woke up to the news that Maria Corina Machado won the Nobel Peace Prize. Hearing more of her story, her defiance, the raw stakes of her fight, suddenly made me realize why Harris's book had felt so empty. It was uninspired in a moment when we need the opposite. It hit me harder than other disappointing political memoirs because 107 Days came out during a time when democracy in this country feels incredibly fragile. The current administration is flirting with the idea of invoking the Insurrection Act as I speak. This is a moment begging for reflection, for courage, for something that meets this urgency. Instead, Harris gives us a careful logbook. And when I say careful, I mean it. The book is disciplined, chronological, step by step. And she admits she's disciplined, and the book proves it. But what it doesn't do is ask why. Why did things collapse? Why couldn't she hold on to the momentum? Why does it all feel so bleak? Those are the questions she doesn't answer. So in this book, she does admit some missteps, but with a caveat. Every admission comes with an explanation, with deflection. Again and again, she falls back on the refrain, it was only 107 days, which fine, that's the brutal reality. But as a reader, it feels less like honesty and more like a shield. A way of saying, don't judge me too harshly. Look how little time I had. Okay, so what does this mean? The result is a book that's polished but distant. There are scraps of relatability scattered here and there, which I actually ate up. I was like starved for it. But I can't say that they ever added up to anything bigger. And that's where this book really missed an opportunity. The campaign was not just another election cycle. It was one of the most compressed, chaotic primaries in history. There was space to not just defend, but to connect, to reflect, and to inspire. Instead, what we get reads like a defense brief. Not that I would know what one of those actually looks like, but I'm just guessing. And finishing it left me so bleak. Not enlightened, not uplifted, just heavier. I remember talking to a friend afterwards and just being like, this like makes me want to give up on life in general. I haven't even posted a video in a few weeks because I was like, what's the point? What's the point of anything? And that's definitely not what I expected to get out of this book at all. It's honestly devastating as somebody who supported her. But I mean, that's, I guess, on me because I wanted perspective and leadership, something to carry forward. Instead, this book doubles down on what we already know and reinforcing divides rather than reaching for a common ground. That's probably what stung the most, because when you see leaders elsewhere putting everything on the line, literally risking their lives for democracy, you realize what a missed moment a memoir like this is. The former vice president had a chance to inspire, to remind us why the fight is worth it, to say, I misjudged how to move forward. I'm human, but this is how we're gonna fight what's happening. No, if you're looking for that, don't even bother. Instead, she plays it safe. She points out her impressive record, which she is incredibly accomplished. She's a brilliant woman. And she has broken through countless glass ceilings. Nobody can take that away from her with a sound mind. So I guess that leads me to having expected better from her than to fall back on this vague idea that the country just wasn't ready for her. And again, I just can't let go of how this novel missed the moment, not because it's poorly written. It's fascinating, honestly, to relive those days from this perspective, but it's also incredibly depressing to do that without there being anything better on the other side. And it refuses to give us something we need most, which is brutal honesty. Without that, you can't rebuild trust, you can't connect or reconnect, and you can't repair what's broken. And here's where I want to be clear. I am not saying that America is already Venezuela, but can we admit that authoritarianism is on the rise around the world? That even here in the United States, democracy is fragile. Times have changed, and playing politics the same old way isn't cutting it anymore. If we really care about democracy surviving, we have to evolve our tactics, because democracy at its best is inclusive and authoritarianism isn't. It's exclusive by design. And somewhere along the way, it seems too many people have lost sight of that. Whether it's greed or ego of the people in power, studying the endless causes could be one's life work. And that's another reason why this book frustrated me so much. At a time when we're seeking vision, it gives excuses. At a time when we're starved for connection, it keeps us at arm's length. That was very clear. There were a couple of personal anecdotes throughout this entire book. It's how many pages? In 300 pages. What was my coloring system? Light pink is what I used to mark any time there was like her why, her relatability. And I was able to do that 5 times in 300 pages. And it would be maybe a paragraph or a sentence here and there. So in a moment this precarious, that's more than just a missed opportunity. It's a warning signal. So this almost feels like a little bit of maybe like it's therapy for her. And it wouldn't have been a bad idea to write this memoir the way that it is as like a journaling exercise. And then be like, once you get to the end of it and you've been able to get all your grievances out, everybody else was the problem. I wasn't really the problem. Get all that out on paper, but don't publish it. Give us something that's worth our money. And this wasn't it, unfortunately. So on that note, bye. I'm just kidding. I know this review is leaning a little bit grim, and that's why I almost didn't even talk about it. But when I woke up to the news this morning, I felt a much needed spark of hope and inspiration. Like maybe the world isn't quite as upside down as I feared, and maybe doing the right thing still does get rewarded. And I know that topics involving politics is very polarizing, and it's always better to, you know, approach everything with an open mind and be critical of your heroes. You know, like I said before, I am a supporter and was a supporter of Kamala Harris, and it doesn't stop me from still thinking critically about what happened, what her words are telling us, and refraining from the, you know, Republican jerseys and the Democrat jerseys and rating this book before you even read it because you're trying to counter a 1-star review that somebody left without reading it because their political beliefs don't align with hers. It's like just gotten so ridiculous. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please stick around and subscribe for more bookish content. I hope you're doing well and that you're enjoying the fall season, and I'll see you again soon in the next video. Bye!